Well, now let's do the discussions, and we are going to look at two issues. We'll start with, it looks like, consistent rejoinders to that 35-page report by Professor Boateng that had been sitting on the desk of the president. Of course, since 2021, he's come also with a formal response to that, and it is a response from the presidency. And following that, we had also another concern raised by the Minister for Information, Nkrumah, and swiftly, Professor Boateng again has also given us a public statement on his own concerns about the response of Nkrumah. And, well, we're here to look at the issues as they are. Well, I have in the studio right here a legal practitioner and also with the NDC's communication team, as well as the legal team, Eduji Tamaklo. And Eduji, good morning to you.
Good morning, Roland. And good morning to my brother, Awal.
No, okay, so Awal
is... We loaned him briefly to the MPP.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, he used to be a very vibrant team member until he jumped ship.
You come house, can't break people.
Yeah, at the right time, you come home.
All right. So we have Awal Mohammed. He's with the communication team of Gov't. Thank you for joining us, Mohammed Awal.
Thank you so much for having me. But I just wanted to ask you whether...
Back at the Saga.
Yes, I just wanted to ask you whether we also loaned them their communications director.
So who?
Kekra Samwa. He was a founding member of the MPP. He's now their communications director. I don't know if
maybe an exchange program.
We'll see how that goes. But as far as we're related, how was your Sanla or your?
Yeah, it was good. Very, very good. I think so, because we.
While you were celebrating, were you monitoring all the bullets that were being fired left, right, center?
Yes. As a politician and as a communications person, too, definitely, whilst we celebrate, we will still have to really monitor. I remember the last days of the Ramadan, I was called by the communications director that, have you put communications on hold for... I said, no, I'm a Muslim, whether in Ramadan or outside Ramadan. So what I will say on platforms, it will be the things I will say whilst I am in Ramadan.
Mashallah.
So definitely I will continue.
Mashallah.
So we are monitoring, and we have a very successful celebration throughout the country and across the world. We had a seamless celebration from Friday to Saturday by everyone. I had mine on Friday, and the rest of Ghanaians also had theirs on Saturday.
So the Friday people are which sect of the Muslim?
I think it's really not about sect, even though the Ahlul Sunnah came with a full statement that by the dictates of our religion, that when the moon is sighted, pray. When the moon is sighted, start Ramadan. So they said, if really we're able to see the crescent on that day, on Thursday, it means on Friday, there will be a Salah celebration. And the crescent was sighted both in Ghana and outside Ghana, around Kenya, and so on. But because, you see, I have seen a lot of people blame the government, especially, for giving the holiday on Monday, saying that, well, we rushed in doing that. It's the chief imam who will always be consulted to ask him 3 days before. I know my lawyer is aware that indeed 3 days or 4 days before that they will consult him and ask him, which day do you want it? The government cannot really come one day and say tomorrow is a holiday. It doesn't happen. So definitely that will have to happen. So even if you bring the chief imam in Mecca to Ghana, you still have a date given 2 days or 3 days before. So that's the reason Umaru Sanda Ahmadu, I saw his article when he pointed out that to cure this confusion, we'll have to get 2 days, because if you go to Nigeria, Friday, yes, Friday and Monday, it's a holiday. It was a holiday, exactly, right. So that everyone will be really
but you are the presidency, so you don't have a problem. Or you've been calling the president, so tell him that.
I don't call the president, and I don't work at the presidency. I am a member of the communications team, yes, and I'm a member of government because I am.
You've been watching all that has been happening.
Roland,
Yes.
Roland, maybe
Bullets have been-
just some 30 seconds. You know, anytime our Muslim brothers have the opportunity to celebrate these important Islamic festivities, Eid al-Adha and then the
Eid al-Fitr.
there's something that it appears with the benefit of time, a lot of people are forgetting, which is to say that, do you know that but for the NDC administration under Jerry Rawlings, these two Muslim festivities were not public holidays. They were not. It has to take the NDC administration forward-looking to say that our Christian brothers cannot have Christmas, Easter as public holidays. And Muslims, an integral part of our Ghanaian society, not have theirs the same. So the NDC decided, and if you check the records, to declare the two Muslim festivities as public holidays.
Eid al-Adha,
Eid
al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha.
Okay. With the benefit of time, a lot of young people would, definitely forget the intervention to ensure religious harmony. And that is what we have consistently. It's painful that today my brother is here. I don't know when he'll be going to Hajj. When do you intend going?
This year.
No, I have not really
It's
decided to go
$6,000.
this year.
$6,000.
I mean, it used to be 19,000 cities to just go to Mecca and come when the NDC was in power. Today, we are doing $6,000. That's about 75,000.
It's actually 6,450 or something.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's about 75,000 Ghana cities today in order to fulfill this obligation. I recall the religious politics Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia those days played, that there was the need for a Muslim to be in the Jubilee House for the welfare of Muslims. Regrettably, it is this time that things have become extremely difficult for but we'll have the benefit of going into the substantive matter.
We haven't started the thing. Then you are
no,
throwing
no.
bebullets left, right, center.
I was but that's fine. Let's go to the substantive.
Well, yesterday we also had the
just quick
birthday
one,
of former chief
because
of staff,
Julius.
Julius Deborah. Good morning to you, sir. And I know that you convened at least some events to mark that auspicious birthday, and well, many of us were not able to represent at the time that I got to know.
I did for you.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
Yeah, I did.
I got to know Charlie was too late. But, while you were celebrating, bullets were being fired, left, right, center. Professor Frimpong Boateng, a normal report he thought he had submitted on the decks of the president 2 years ago just became explosive after Kelvin Taylor decided to leak it to the public, and everybody has been running helter-skelter. Yeah? Is that the phrase? What's happening? There's chaos. Is there confusion over that report?
Okay, thank you so much. I think I will have to clear one or two issues that he raised because it's not part of the topics, but when he said DNDC took steps to give Muslims 2 holidays, this is something that the NDC has been running with. We got this holidays in 1998 under the NDC, it's true. Ghana is a secular state, and it's supposed to be from onset, from 1992, that we started this democracy and we called ourselves a secular state, that Muslims were entitled, not really, you're talking about you did a favor to Muslims. Muslims were entitled to holidays as Christians because Ghana is a secular state, and it was taken to Parliament, and Parliament passed it for it to become a law. So if you tell me that it's the magnanimity of the NDC to give us holiday, that is not correct, because if that is the case, then for 4 years you did a disservice to us, because from 92 to 1998 you didn't give us any holiday, and the Muslims are your top supporters. And they continue to be your top supporters. They vote for the NDC much more than any other grouping in terms of percentage and so on. And again, when he said 19,000, the NDC, when they want to quote figures, they will quote it in cedis to suit them. Then they will quote ours in dollars. just to really escalate it. Hajj has never, since it started, has never been charged on, in cities, in Ghana cities, no. It's charged in dollars because the preparation and everything, they go to the Hajj conference and that is where they come with the fees.
So how do our people pay? They pay it in dollars?
In dollars, yes. You're supposed to pay in dollars, but you pay
But we don't spend dollars. So,
yes, so I'm saying that you pay the CD
they
equivalent
CD
to the agents, because there are certified Hajj agents that you pay, but you have to pay with the prevailing exchange rate. Okay. That's what you do. So when they go and they charge maybe,
so what's your point
ambulance, I'm saying that it is not really the case that it is Dr. Baumia who has killed this. When they go for the Hajj conference, there are charges that has been added. Today, it's even cheaper to go through Ghana than to go through UK to Hajj. It's cheaper.
The 6,000.
Exactly, it's cheaper because
you compare
Ghanaian
citizens to UK citizens.
Yeah, I'm saying that it's even cheaper to even pass through Ghana.
I'm asking you.
People
no,
are
but I'm but I'm telling you that.
No, listen. Are you saying that? Oh,
yes.
You know, these are some of the things that we do.
People are watching.
This thing we should. I'm saying you are saying that it is cheaper.
Yes. So
I'm saying that. Are you comparing Ghanaian citizens who are Muslims to UK citizens who are Muslims? Because
I'm telling you that Ghanaians who are in UK will have
consumer
to.
Spending
it's better they come,
levels are not the same.
It's better they come
levels.
to Ghana en route to Saudi than to go straight because it's expensive there to them. Okay. That's what I mean. So back to the issues.
You have equalized nicely. Answer my question. I'm saying is that chaos at the presidency because of it was a very subtle report. If it had been worked on, then all of a sudden Kevin Taylor decided to blow it, and all of us have taken it up, and now we're all running responses here and they're firing.
So
missiles.
I think if
bullets.
You have watched or you've really, I know you have the documents.
I do.
It is not a report, an official report so submitted by the minister. The minister had a meeting with the chief of staff, and issues were raised about his tenure and some allegations against him and so on. So he submitted that report, according to him, that he feels that these are things he saw. When you check throughout the report, you could tell that majority of the things are his personal sentiments on the issues that happened. It is cabinet that instituted that IMC. When he had issues during the time that he was a minister, he never submitted such a document to cabinet or the chief of staff or any other place. He didn't even complain to anyone. It was after he was removed from office or his tenure was not renewed.
How does that not make it an official document?
I'm saying that.
Because you said it's not an official document.
Yes, it was after his tenure expired and it was not renewed, and there were issues about his tenure. Then he sought to submit his point of view to whatever happened, to whitewash himself or clean himself of any wrongdoing.
Are you saying he's dirty?
I'm saying that there were a lot of allegations against him, and he sought to really clean himself by writing this report. And he wrote this report and presented to the chief of staff. There are a lot of things that were submitted in the report that the government has taken steps to investigate according to the presidency. A lot of things,
like
allegations that some people were engaged in illegal. For instance, when he even withdrew Gabi or Asarochere Dako in, Gabi only called him to tell him there is a company that is giving a license to do
Gabi call him?
Prospect. Why can't a lawyer call as a private lawyer to a company? This is a lawyer. If I call him and I tell him that something is happening, can't he call the person to ascertain? But so he doesn't have the right to work in this country as a private person. He's a private person. He works for a company. The company called him and told him that we have prospecting license. We have license from EPA. We have license from that we can use to do prospecting in the forest. Then the military people went and seized the documents, the equipment, when they went into the forest. Then he called him to ascertain the truth or otherwise of it. According to Gabi, he even spoke to him for like 3 minutes.
Why should Gabi call him?
Why must not he? Why shouldn't he call him?
Did you read the reports on his position about the states and the role
He
or
said
the action?
Gabi was interfering. And I'm saying that Gabi is saying that there is a company that he works for, a private company that he as a private person works for. He called them. They called him and told him that there is the equipment has been seized. They have all the documentations. He scrutinized through the documentations and felt that yes, indeed, it's true. He called him to ascertain why. Because initially, according to Gabi, he called the military and asked them, that they said it's an order from the minister. So definitely he will have to call him to ascertain whether he will go to court or not. But you put it in clearly that Gabi was interfering with
Are you saying a whole minister, after leaving office, put
Yes.
together a report, and you're saying they are the sentiments and complaints of the minister?
Was he the only one
They are
working?
not official documentation.
Was he the only one working? He was working with a team. But almost all the things that he wrote it as personally things he saw throughout his tenure. I was thinking that at least the time that he was working as a minister, rationally, you're with TV3, and they said they will not renew your contract. Then you come through with a report of what happened here during your tenure. That you think
Working
that
at TV3 is not a public office.
no, I'm only giving a scenario. I'm saying that you work in a
They are
public
not
office.
coterminous. The two scenarios are not
So
coterminous.
you are a minister. You are a minister of state. You're working. You have some impediments. You have some problems. You have some challenges. You've seen some people that you think they are engaged in illegal mining, and you're supposed to be the chairman. You're supposed to report to cabinet. You never reported anything of that sort to cabinet. You waited until your tenure was not renewed. There were allegations that was thrown against you. Then you come.
He never reported anything. You don't read anywhere in the report that he says that he had Sir John alongside him with the president, etc. You do not think at all that he had interactions with the president.
But you have
key
provided
leaders of
some documentations because you don't deal with the president personal. You just write documentations because this is a work that you have been asked to do. There are certain things that you can call the president and talk to him about it. But if really this is something that you think hampers the progress of the work that you do, you will have to write it officially to the presidency or to cabinet.
Who did he write the letter to?
He wrote it to the chief of staff.
So that's not an official letter.
No, I'm telling you how, because you have to understand how he sent the letter.
How did he send it?
He sent the
Through the
letter
mail.
as someone who is a former minister. And when you read through, you could tell that there are a lot of sentiments, there are a lot of things that are personal to him. And I told you.
Which month did he send the letter?
In March.
Okay.
Yes, in March.
He left office when?
Yes, around the time before he.
Is it not January he left office?
Yes, I'm saying that before.
He left office January 2021.
Exactly.
Then he sends a letter
in March
on his state of supervision of Galamsey at his ministry, which foremostly was one of his very key objective, because the president has said he'll put his presidency on the line. So exactly. He sends it 2 months later. Yes. You're saying it's not an official letter? Yes, I said he sent an official letter, but he sent it quite late, because the time that he's supposed to send it was the time he was working. You're changing your mouth. No, but I mentioned it. I have not changed my mouth. If you can point out where I changed my mouth, I am saying that. You're saying first it's not an official letter. You're saying he sent it too late. I said he was tasked to do that work by cabinet. Okay. When he was a cabinet minister at that time, when he attends cabinet, he was supposed to at least push all these sentiments, write them, mention the people involved. Did he see in his report that he went to the president and told him that this man, that man were engaged in Galamsey and they sit in your office? He didn't have that courage to say it that time. Now that he's out of the office, he felt that, let me write. And I'm saying that he's not the only person working there. He worked with a lot of people. He could have written it alongside them so that at least it will be fair. But if you write it like this, but the good news is that the presidency has invited the CID to really look into these allegations
where there is merit and they find some prima facie case against some people, they can prosecute them. That's the most important thing. So I believe that Professor Frimpong Boateng's intervention, some are very important. There are some issues that he has raised that are very important that at least must be looked at. That's the reason the presidency has asked the CID to intervene, investigate, and see if really there are merits to some of the allegations that he has leveled. Because a lot of the things that he has leveled, there are allegations. Because you don't tell me that a lot of people mentioned are guilty of the things that he has mentioned. So a lot of them are allegations. Some are his personal sentiments and so on. And he did that after he left office.
Ediji, it looks like Awal is sticking to the communication point, and it syncs with what the presidency says. That at the outset, it must be pointed out the document being discussed was not an official report formally delivered to the office of the president. On the contrary, it can only be rightly referred to as a catalogue of personal grievances and claims made by him, the professor, the distinguished cardiologist who sacrificed his career in Germany and invited by Rawlings to come and set up cardio.
You see, if Akufo-Addo has any conscience left, he should do what is honorable, address the public, and apologize to the good people of this country for the incompetence, the abysmal manner he had performed, one as president, and also a man who shamefully said he was putting his presidency on the line. If you read the 36-page report by the respected cardiologist, Professor Frimpong Boateng, the details are sordid. It is terrible that we've got into this place. You see, we warned Ghanaians that this man, Akufo-Addo, has nothing useful to offer this country. People felt we were just saying things. Look, any man who sells his family property bequeathed to him by his father or mother, you must always be cautious.
But that's
It's very personal.
It's not personal. I am telling you how he's seeing this country. He's seeing this country as a personal property that can easily be auctioned. Why am I saying this? Somewhere, 1st of April 2017, the president told all of us that he's putting a moratorium, right, on all forms of mining, artisanal and small scale. And that particular moratorium was supposed to last at least a year and above, correct? Somewhere 4th March 2019, Cabinet Secretary Kakari had issued a statement headed suspension of prospecting license for 47 forest reserves. Cabinet, presided over by Mr. Akufo-Addo, had by the 4th of March 2019 put out there that they were suspending all forms of prospecting licenses for 47 forest reserves. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Good.
That was in February.
When did Gabi place his phone call to Frimpong Boateng? At the time, Gabi Asare-Okyere, Ghana's de facto prime minister, had placed that call to the minister, the suspension referenced above was in place.
Yeah, true.
But he called to defend a prospecting license issued to the company he claimed he was representing.
Well, he said he's a lawyer. You're a lawyer too. Can't you represent a company?
You see, Gabi is just not a lawyer in this conversation. Gabi peddles influence because of his proximity to the president. So when Gov't placed that call, he knew that there was a lawyer in his chamber handling the matter. And he himself mentioned the name Adam. Right? But he wanted to show that in the scheme of affairs, Gov't was primus inter pares. Reference to Frimpong Boateng. And that Frimpong Boateng hearing his call or picking that call alone is enough signal to him that, Chief, hold on. There's a powerful person calling you. Hold your guns. And so, effectively, what Gov't was communicating to Frimpong Boateng is stop. It was actually a stop order.
Have you heard Gov't? Gov't says that he only called him, they spoke for only 4 minutes.
In fact, even if it was 30 seconds, the effect to the minister is that, hey, watch your back.
Are you saying that if a while calls Frimpong Boateng while he was in
he will
office,
not even mind him.
Then,
He will not even mind him.
And then Gov't or Chidakuko, they are two different things?
Yes.
But he's a lawyer, I'm not a lawyer.
No.
That's they are both lawyers.
No. And that is what I'm saying, that if he was just a lawyer doing his work, there was a junior lawyer in Govt's law firm.
In charge of the case.
In charge of the case. He could have played the call to the minister and said, Minister, my client has all these documents intact. You have no business dealing with them the manner in which you are doing. The reason why Gov't intervened is to, one, peddle influence, is to directly or indirectly tell the minister that watch your back. Prime Minister is watching you. And you see, this conduct of Mr. Gov't Asare Ochredakun is not only in relation to this. In PDS, we had him. Ejapa, we had him. So you will notice that everything notorious, he is there. But you see, Gov't is the alter ego of the president himself.
How do you come to that conclusion?
Yes. You see, imagine somebody like Frimpong Boateng putting in the report that the president called him. That would have been a huge thing. So Gov't basically what he does is to front the views of the president. And he does it in a very sophisticated manner.
How do you come to that conclusion?
The sophistication is that even you, at a point you got confused whether he was an influence peddler or just doing the role of a lawyer. He does it without finesse, without sophistication. But ultimately, what Gov't is doing is to project the views of the president. And listen, this whole business about fighting Galamsey, it was an Akufo-Addo's attempt, as it were, to take over small-scale mining and appropriate it to MPP loyalists.
Oh, you didn't say Galam stop and the investment that were made. Indeed,
there
was over 150 million that was said. Even the World Bank gave money.
Hold on. It was a ruse. Because you see, it is only the point of insanity where you see somebody plant trees and at the same time cut down the tree. So this government pretends in one way that they are planting trees and at the same time destroying the forest reserves. Who does that? Any sensible person will not do that. And you see, Akufo-Addo, if you look at his scheme, and these guys are basically schemers. What they do with their governance is to scheme. Look for every way to scheme and milk this country. Look, and I call them environmental terrorists. Basically, that's what they have been doing. From the time Akufo-Addo became president till now, the state of our environment have deteriorated, never seen before. You saw the video, the pictures that Professor Frimpong Boateng attached to
the comparison.
The response, even to Gov't Asare Ochredakun, the reply to him. You saw the level of distraction caused by this client of Mr. Gov't Asare Ochredakun law firm. That is how this government has conducted its affairs. What it does is that it basically hides its true intentions around this. So today, for instance, you hear them say, oh, we are doing community mining. Now, when you go in, you notice that the persons behind are NPP apparatchiks, constituency executives, constituency chairmen. That is basically Akufo-Addo's, game plan. But you see, my brother here makes the point that this report will not pass for official report. Who received it? Who received it? Who wrote the letter to him?
Chief of Staff received it.
Good. Who wrote the letter to him? It was the Chief of Staff.
Yes.
Is the Chief of Staff not a public officer?
It's actually, he runs the president.
So
she
today,
runs the president.
in fact, today I can go to court and say, court, make an order directed at the Chief of Staff for way of subpoenaing this particular document. Can I not do that? Will it not then pass for an official document being in the custody of...
As far as it goes into
the
catalogue of the Chief of Staff, it's an official
And
document.
in fact,
but the presidency says it's not.
In fact, when you received it, it is even marked. There's a template that will be recorded. So on this day, you can reference that the letter from Frimpong Boateng received on or about the 19th day of March 2021.
What's your point?
My point is that at all time, this was a report issued to the presidency. So the attempt by the presidency to say that this is a catalogue of sentiments and others. In any case, Frimpong Boateng is more credible than all the entire administration. Ghanaians have enormous respect. They trust the credibility of the heart surgeon than Mr. Akufo-Addo. Ghanaians believe that when it comes to credibility, right, this government does not have one. Akufo-Addo told us that he was going to put his presidency on the line.
Yes, he did.
Correct. What this comes across is like, look, this is like a priority thing for the president. Today, after almost 5 years of his intervention in the management of our forest reserve, would this pass for a government that is desirous of protecting our environment? Look, pick your constitution, Article 36, the directive principles of state policy. It is there clearly that it is the responsibility of government citizens to ensure that our environment is protected for today and what we usually call intergenerational reasons.
Aduji, when you have the presidency response saying that, it is important to point out that whilst Professor Frimpong Boateng makes serious allegations against some government appointees, not a single piece of evidence was adduced or presented to enable the claims to be properly investigated.
The person who wrote this, did the person ask the president that the day Frimpong Boateng, the president himself and Sir John, whether he put to him right in front of him? Whoever wrote this has no respect for the intelligence of Ghanaians. The man referenced a meeting where the president himself was there. Akufo-Addo, in this whole Galamsey matter, he's an accomplice. The man says that Sir John and I, with you, were there. And I put to him that he had been issuing licenses or forest entry permits at the time when you, the president, you have placed a moratorium, a suspension of sale. What says that? The president could not say anything.
The president said he will look into it.
That's
what
the point I'm making. And from the time, what has happened until the man died? Nothing. In fact, he even left by willing forests forever to his friends and associates. The point I am making is that the conduct of Akufo-Addo in this whole Galamsey whatever is that he's an accomplice.
Oh, how do you draw that conclusion that he's an accomplice?
Look, see, read the report. And you see, there's an interesting thing about the heart surgeon, the precision. At each time, either he will call the president, so you call him and say, Mr. President, your cousin, your brother, Gabi, has called me. It's not appropriate, Mr. President. Talk to him. Then Sir John comes in. So at every point in time, you will notice that the man is telling you that, oh, I've been informing the president.
So that makes him an accomplice?
If you are saying that a matter so dear to your heart, a matter that you are willing to put your presidency on the line for, and you have been informed that your own brother, your alter ego, has made an inappropriate call to me, warn him. What has been said about the president's response? 2, the president appointed Sir John, may his soul rest in peace, to head the Forestry Commission. As at the 4th March 2019, Sir John was still issuing forest entry permits, and the president was aware. So if the president was aware that his cabinet had issued a suspension order and a subordinate can flout that suspension without any rebuke from the president, I dare say that he is an accomplice. He is fully aware of the distraction to the environment, but it benefits him. Hence, his desire not to intervene. In any case, Frimpong Boateng's report to the presidency when the 19th March 2021, but for the intervention of Kevin Taylor, would you know that such a report was ever received at the presidency?
Well, the president said it was unofficial. So why would I act on a document that's unofficial?
So on what basis, therefore, did the chief of staff write to him for this report?
Good question. So
I think,
does it mean that because of the response of the presidency, nothing will be done at all? Or is just a matter of recalls of what we've seen, making the CID, etc., adduce evidence? If you don't adduce enough evidence, it means that all this becomes hearsay?
What can happen? In this country, no one is guilty until proven guilty by a court.
Oh, that's how we should go, eh?
Exactly. So the CID will come in, investigate. They are clothed with authorities to do the investigation.
Martin Kpebu says that we need a commission of inquiry on this subject, that this is so explosive.
So I hear about commissions of inquiries, committees, and so on. What are the outcomes of these commissions of inquiries and committees that has been set over the time? At least let CID do it. They will investigate after they investigate, because he's a lawyer, he can educate us. What I know is that when there is a commission of inquiry and the person is indicted, sometimes the person doesn't even feel, I doubt if the person can even face any jail term.
Yeah, because
he will only be banned for a number of years.
Because the outcome of that.
Exactly. So why do we need a commission of inquiry when you think there are wrongdoings, there are things that borders on criminality?
No, why not?
When you think there are things that borders on criminality, and we're saying that CID, investigate. Oh, we don't believe in the CID again. We don't believe in the investigative prowess of the CID again. No. We believe that the CID can do justice to the report. But you see, let me just come back. The NDC will want us to believe that everything in this document is true. That's what lawyer sought to really
Why are you
portray.
pulling the NDC on?
Everything.
Professor Frimpong Boateng is
I'm
not
saying
NDC.
that lawyer is now telling us, lawyer Eduji is telling us.
This has been put together
everything.
by...
He said everything in the report is true. The moratorium was put for 2 years. It lasted for 2 years. After the 2 years, almost all the small-scale miners, about 3,000 of them were sent to UMAT to be trained on responsible mining. He says President Akufo-Addo did that to give concessions to NPP people. In the same report that you have, according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, majority of Galamseyers or small scalers are NDC people. In the same report, when you read, he said the majority of them are NDC people.
In the Western region, it does say.
Yes, so it means really everything in the report is true. Do you believe what he said, that indeed they are all NDC? Again, there is no single NDC person who has come after the 2 years moratorium to tell people that, or to tell the people of this country that his license were revoked, it was not renewed, he didn't get his license to operate. I'm yet to see any NDC Galamseya coming out to say this. No. And the community mining is done in concert with even the chiefs. And these are people who were trained to do the community mining. Unless we want to say that we don't want to do any mining in this country, or small-scale mining should be banned. But if it will be banned, it must be done. It is not banned, then it must be done responsibly. And that's the reason there is a law that at least let's have a community so that they will not
well, it's a conversation about the fact that the president had promised that I know that Galamsey has been ongoing, indeed, over the decades, right up to the last time former President John Dramani Mahama left office. Efforts were made. But rather, I'm willing to sacrifice use myself and my presidency, or even efforts to get myself renewed for a mandate to sanitize. And so if we've seen worse of pollution in waters, in river bodies, where does the blame go? Is it not the president?
Galamsey stand banned even today.
Are you sure?
Yes, but it's small.
How can you say such a paradoxical statement?
But then you don't know what Galamsey is. Galamsey is illegal. It is illegal.
So why is it ongoing? So why is it going on then?
But you see, you cannot eradicate it. You can only control it. You only tell me that, well, let's stop small-scale mining. Because majority of those who are doing the illegality are the small-scale miners.
Well, on a scale of 0 to 10,
yes,
how would you rate the president's fight against Galamsey since he launched it?
So you think no success was chalked?
Have you seen our water bodies?
Yes, but I have seen Ankobra too. At least there are some improvement.
Fake news.
Exactly. And when you're going to...
Have you heard from the Ghana Water Company that they spent, it looks like 4 times the sums and the cost in purifying water?
So this thing didn't start only in 2017.
No, we're talking about recent times.
I'm telling you that...
The Ghana Water Company never complained about...
The destruction is not really an event that started only one day. It didn't start in 2017. When we came in as a government, we saw that there are a lot of pollution. There are a lot of things happening in the...
in the major water bodies.
Exactly.
Where?
So, across the country.
Because
I remember former President Mahama went to Chebi and said it's the headquarters of Galamsey. You remember, in 2015, he went to Chebi and said it's almost the headquarters of Galamsey, which he didn't do anything about it until we came in and felt that let's put a ban on it. Let's do something to make sure that at least we're able to protect our water bodies.
Aren't we worse off?
We are not.
Oh.
We're not, because at least there are a lot of things happening. At least there are reclamation happening across the country. It's there. There is a lady, Dr. Carol Donko, who heads...
I know that lady. She worked with the Interministerial Committee.
Exactly. Now
Where?
Almost in Takwa, there are reclamations going on. In Manso, there are reclamation going on, and planting of trees by that agency that was established. And Dr. Carol Donko is the CEO of that agency. They are doing that reclamation over there. So at least there are some successes. At least some Chinese, over 10,000 of them were sent back to their country. And there is also...
how many Chinese have been sent?
Over 10,000 of them were sent back.
What did you get that figure from?
From the evacuation.
Because as far there are no official report that's indicating we have 10,000 Ghanaians repatriated because of Galamsey.
Chinese. Well, Inusa Fuseini has even said more than that. He said more than 10,000 were evacuated around their time. But they all came back. But what we instituted in 2017 was that you can't come to Ghana and come on visa on arrival. And during the NDC, there was visa on arrival. That was the reason the influx of the Chinese came. So definitely you have to come with a visa.
So now the NDC is to blame for the pollutions we have in the water body.
But it didn't start today. I'm saying
the indiscriminate actions that have been cited by Prof.
It didn't start today. It didn't start today. It started even as of 2015. You had the presidency complaining that they are destroying our water bodies, but I didn't do anything about it. Someone who came and said, let me fight it up front, cannot be blamed for what is happening.
You see, Roland, you see, I'm surprised that this morning my brother had decided to come and defend these environmental terrorists. I have no reason to believe that he's involved in Galamsey. I have no reason. In fact, I have no reason at all.
Oh.
I mean, like you. I have no reason. And he won't do it. I mean, aside everything, Awa can be a gentleman. He will not do this level of violence to the environment. But listen, from the report, Akufo-Addo's own home in Chebi, his hometown, where the mother comes from, his own house, the NPP youth organizer for that area, okay, had done Galamsey to the point of destroying the walls of Akufo-Addo's own house. This was reported to him.
We're told the garden.
But it's part of the house.
The president said this report is unofficial, so we shouldn't refer to it.
Incidentally, the same president, right, when his house got damaged, the same Frimpong Boateng mobilized to go and have the structure restored. What has happened to the youth organizer of NPP? Who did this to Akufo-Addo's own garden? So, what you need to get clear is that Akufo-Addo has no plan whatsoever to fight this environmental thing. See, do you know that this same president is a co-chair of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals? And, implied in that whole goal is the need to look after the environment for intergenerational purposes. The president being the chair, a greater responsibility is placed on him. What happened? At least let Akufo-Addo call the youth organizer of NPP and rebuke the young man. That, hey, what level of impunity, what level of, would cause you to even do Galamsey right to my house? But what happened? Nothing. Nothing. Simply because the president himself is an accomplice. You see, the only reason why an elderly person cannot rebuke a young person is when he himself has his hands soiled. It takes away your moral authority to demonstrate leadership. And that is why that young man in Chebi can have the courage to do Galamsey right to the doorstep of the president. Simply because he feels that, this is the president. But you see, you ask a very interesting question. Akufo-Addo's, involvement in this Galamsey is not today. And let me demonstrate something to you. You recall that his own minister and Minerals Commission had made a damning finding against Akunta Mining, owned by what? The NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman, Wontumi. The least opportunity the president got in Koforidua, do you know what he did? He went defending Akunta Mining. So Akufo-Addo is not just an accomplice, he's also a defender of companies engaged in Galamsey. At that time, the ministry and Minerals Commission had already put out there that Akunta Mining did not have the necessary licenses in order to enter that particular forest reserve. The president went before one of the synod, whatever, in Koforidua, and started defending Akunta Mining.
What did he say?
That as far as he is concerned, this mining company has not done anything wrong. Clearing agents. A company that your own... So, you see, you have a situation where the president's subordinates have made a finding against a company. Now, the president now comes to clear the person. Who else will have the authority to proceed? So, the president, one, is a clearing agent for persons involved in Galamsey. He's a defender. He's an accomplice. So, everything about Akufo-Addo's presidency is to advance notoriety. Look, as we speak, our president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Nana Gala, had gotten himself that dubious distinction as the promoter, defender, and accomplice of Galamsey business in this country. So, and you see, if you look at the further rebuttal from
in the report.
Yes, from Frimpong Boateng.
It's an unofficial document according to the presidency.
And you see, look at this. There's an interesting part. Nana Osafo Mafo. Senior presidential advisor. Listen to what Frimpong Boateng say about him. After going through the document, the senior minister is reported to have remarked that Echo is his boy and will not do such a thing. However, if there was a bad person, it will be Frimpong Boateng. Senior minister then encouraged his emissary and his friends to organize themselves, gang up, and fight Frimpong Boateng. So you see, when you fight corruption under Akufo-Addo, his corruption will fight you back. Martin Amidu, classic example. So I am making the
what
point.
happened to Martin Amidu?
Oh.
He only ran away and left his job.
Okay. let's even say that you are right with that. But you see, have you seen something? Each one of the people that had an issue with Akufo-Addo, look at Martin Amidu. When he gave the corruption assessment report to the president on the Japan, not long ago, the president arranged a meeting to water down the report. The next thing is that they have to force Martin out.
Who forced him?
We are looking at a situation where, as early as 2021, this report had been in the custody of the president. Do you know who the chief of staff is? In the organization of the presidency, after the president, the vice president, the chief of staff is the next. In that office, the chief of staff has always been in custody of this document for almost 2 years now. How come that but for the intervention of Kevin Taylor, and whatever he is, I salute him. Anybody that, because that is what the Constitution says by way of Article 36, that every citizen must help to protect the environment. Akufo-Addo has demonstrated that he is not willing to fight this illegal Galamsey. All our water bodies today are in their worst form. Let me give you a classic example.
It says that
if you want to do a if you want to do a comparative assessment, you see me.
But we have the visuals. I mean,
no, don't.
Because the media that started the fight against Galamsey, that was adopted by Gov't.
From Karachi right to Akosombo. You see the big river, right? Have you seen how the water looks like? So where there is no Galamsey, look at the water bodies. Akufo-Addo had taken this Galamsey to a different level altogether. Because you see, people who are involved in Galamsey, seized operatives and senior party officials associated with Akufo-Addo involved in Galamsey. So it is difficult for the president to exercise the authority that he has in order to fight this menace. And there's no way, with NPP remaining in power, that Galamsey will ever be fought. It won't happen.
But it was happening under the NDC.
No, the point I'm making is
You're saying that we're worse off.
Relative.
Okay.
Relative, okay. Especially coming from
we're
the
worse
president
off, yes.
who claims that he had
we're worse off, yes, but you cannot say that it didn't happen under NDC. Because indeed,
in fact, that is why
we had excavators and
you
some
remember
other
how we fought the Chinese. And let me say this. One of the things that even stole the disbursement of the entire 3 billion Chinese facility was how the Mahama administration fought Galamsey. To the point that the Chinese were not happy.
It's got to do with their citizens
today,
and their treatment.
Yes, today. The incestuous relationship between Akufo-Addo and Galamsey is terrible.
I have to go for a break. Let me go for a break. We're going for a break. When we come back, we'll speak to the Ghana Union of Traders Association whilst we draw some conclusions on their concerns and disagreements with government over 3 revenue acts that have been introduced. So these 3 taxes, ideally, were supposed to have created some space for government, even though we're told that, according to what the analysts say, is one of the requirements to make sure that we show up our revenue. And so these tax handles are supposed to give us enough revenue to be able to create the space that we need. But the traders apparently are not happy. They include importers, those who are manufacturers, etc., right here in the local space. But when we come back, we'll draw conclusions on the issues of Galamsey, see whether the president is really committed to it. Because, well, just saying that the CID needs to investigate would also mean that he will be perhaps leveled with those accusations of just clearing individuals who have been accused of being complicit in Galamsey in his government. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.